The Republicans scored some big economic victories yesterday. First of all, the House narrowly passed, but they did pass the GOP's America First budget resolution, despite a number of prior contentions that the people had in various parts of the bill. It passed. Secondly, the Trump administration announced a critical deal with Ukraine regarding rare earth minerals. So how do these new developments affect our overall financial and economic situation in the United States? We're here to discuss all of this is Texas Representative Keith Self. He's a member of the House Veterans Affairs Committee, as well as the Foreign Affairs Committee and the House Science, Space, and Technology Committee. He represents the 3rd Congressional District of the great state of Texas. Congressman Self, always great to see you. Welcome back to Washington Watch.
Thank you so much, Jody. Great to be here with you.
Well, we've got some exciting news. A lot's going on, as always. Seems like every time I have you on, there's plates spinning everywhere, and today is certainly no exception. Let's begin with the budget vote in the House last night. What was the overall reaction to the bill passing from your perspective?
Well, it was a long evening. First of all, Jody, the sophomores were over in the White House with President Trump. When they started the vote, we came back, and then they held it open for like an hour while they were working with the few remaining votes they needed. But afterwards, this is a big deal. This will start to change the trajectory of our deficit and debt while we are funding the America First agenda, as you said, border control resources to Tom Homan, which he needs desperately, the defense that we need to pivot to China. So this was a big deal last night. And in spite of some of the limitations of the bill, it was a big night.
It was a big night, and I was not aware that some of the freshmen were over in the White House, but I did know absolutely, having been there, done that, so to speak, that both Speaker Johnson and President Trump were seriously major factors in trying to rally the Republicans together. But if we can, let's talk about some of the specifics as to why you describe this as such a big deal. What are some of the highlights? I know you mentioned the border and maybe a little bit on defense, but just a 30,000-foot view. Go a little bit further. What's some of the highlights of this bill?
Well, the highlights that you just mentioned are certainly for the Trump agenda. We were going to get that done for the border and the defense. Those were important. But for the American people, for the future of America, I will tell you, starting to rein in the spending and ensuring the tax cuts got extended were also vital portions of this bill. We are going to have $2 trillion in spending savings on the spending side. On the tax cut side, we're going to have $4.5 trillion in the extended tax cuts. Those are huge numbers. Now, we're $36 trillion in debt, so this is only a very small first step. But it is a first step to changing the trajectory of the deficit and the debt. So I want people to understand that, yes, there are many people that wanted more. In fact, the president tweeted today that he wants to balance the budget this year or next year. Well, with the $36 trillion debt, with a deficit every year of $2 trillion, that's a high bar. But we got started, Jody, and that's the point.
That is the point. You know, in every journey, as the saying goes, every journey begins with a first step. And without that first step, no journey either starts nor does it finish. And I am thrilled that this is all underway. It was a privilege to be with you and several others a couple of weeks ago under this discussion that you were having, and to see it finally unfold last night. I was right there with others watching and waiting, and I was actually almost screaming, saying, hit the gavel when it came to that last moment. Really an exciting time, and congratulations to you and the GOP and so many who have put so much effort into all of this. If I can, Congressman Self, I know our time is running away. Let me switch gears a little bit and talk now about Ukraine. Some pretty big news coming out of President Trump and the White House regarding Ukraine and mineral deals. What do we know? What's involved in the mineral deal that you're aware of so far?
Well, it's we're going to recoup some of the tax dollars that we've been sending to Ukraine. But this is a rare earth deal. The details are still fairly unknown. It's not been signed yet. But frankly, we will not take possession of any mines. We won't operate mines in Ukraine. This is a partnership deal. This is a business deal that 50% of the revenues to Ukraine will be put into a fund for reconstruction. America will recoup some of our tax dollars, which is good, but it will also build up the fund for the reconstruction of Ukraine without more American tax dollars going into it the way that I understand it. This is Donald Trump. He wants peace. He wants the war to stop. He wants to have a mechanism by which Ukraine can help itself with its physical assets, its rare earth minerals that it has in the ground, so that it can help itself, so that American taxpayers are not solely on the hook for the reconstruction of Ukraine. This is going to be a good deal for the American people if it unfolds the way we understand it is.
And a good deal for the people of Ukraine as well, to help
Absolutely.
them rebuild. And yeah, it's a win-win. My understanding, and correct me if I'm wrong, but President Trump, of course, had the first cabinet meeting today. And during that time, he said, speaking of Ukraine, that there would not be any security guarantees for Ukraine as part of this deal. What's your reaction to that statement? Is that a good move?
Well, President Trump always starts with the America First policy. Because I believe that once he gets a peace deal with Russia, we don't have to give Ukraine security assurances that the U.S. will rise to their defense. This is Europe's job. He's been pushing that as well. I just met with the president of the EU Parliament, and they understand that they need to be doing more for Europe. So that's also his move. That's his verbiage, that he gets Europe to understand this is Europe. Europe, step up and take responsibility.
He really is amazing when it comes to negotiating. And this is yet another example of it. President Zelensky, Ukrainian President Zelensky, is scheduled to be here at the White House this week, I believe Friday, if not mistaken. Do you anticipate that there may be an attempt maybe for additional discussions or additional deals to be made when President Trump and Zelensky meet?
Well, I certainly don't know. I don't have any inside information, but I suspect that each of them will have their agenda that they'll want to discuss. Now, whether any deals come out of it or not, I have no idea. But I know that they are both now committed, and I think Zelensky understands that that this war must end, and he's now making moves to that end.
Well, before I let you go, and we've just got a minute or so left, I want to go back. Everything you've shared, Congressman Self, has just been so encouraging, and I just am grateful for you coming on talking about this. I want to go back real quickly what you said, that $2 trillion in savings. I mean, $2 trillion, that's a lot. That's a lot. But it is a small amount compared to $36 trillion in debt that we are. Are there plans already to go further with this? Do you see, this is step one, but is there discussion already taking place for steps 2 and 3 and 4?
They're not yet. What is happening is people are understanding that we are at a tipping point. If we did not bend the trajectory of the deficit and the debt, if we were on schedule the way it is today, we would go from 36 to 60 trillion in 10 years. That is unfathomable. That is, you cannot understand the magnitude of that figure. We're already at $1 trillion a year. 1/7 of everything we spend is spent on interest on the national debt today. It's more than the Defense Department. What would $60 trillion be? The numbers are staggering. And everybody's starting to understand that this is something we must do. It's now or never.
Congressman Keith Self, thank you so much for joining me today. Always an honor to have you on the program.
Thank you, Jody.